Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sarat Chandra IAS Academy, where our dreams are our mission. This is Yatharth here. So today we are going to read about India's masterstroke in the Indian Ocean region, and what are these Agalega Island. This we all know. This is Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, and this is Pravind Jagnnath, the Prime Minister of Mauritius. We'll also see what perspective China has on this development. Alright, so let's quickly cover this. So development of the Agalega Islands in India's vision. So which vision we are talking about? The Sagar vision. Alright, so we'll talk about the Sagar vision also at the end of the lecture. Let's just see the mapping portion here quickly. This you can see Africa. Here you can see Madagascar also. And there are small islands like Mauritius here, close to which are two small islands. Again, the Agalega, the north and the south island. Alright, here you can see our beloved India and Sri Lanka here. We recently talked about this region as well, the Pak Strait and the Manar Strait. Alright, so these islands are inhabited only by 300 people, now have 450 Indian workers as well because of this contract. So it was erstwhile a slave plantation. Main town is Winged King. The name means 25 in French. So it was a French colony earlier. So what development has taken place? Basically an airstrip and a jetty on the North Agalega Island has been opened or inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Pravind Jagnnath. So Agalega, a group of two islands, we already know this. The total area is around 26 square kilometer, not a very large island. And native population is around 300 plus now 450 Indian workers are there. So it lies approximately 650 nautical miles, around 1000 kilometer, over 1000 kilometer from Mauritius, and belongs to the island nation, that means to Mauritius essentially. Now, the development of the Agalega is in the socio-economic and national security interest of Mauritius. So let us see how. Alright, and what is the security issue with this island, which Mauritius is so much interested in? So it is a dependency of the Mauritius, and it has not been developed for many years. Situated 2 days steaming distance away, the sustainability and well-being of the island's inhabitants presented a challenge, as even the most basic needs required referral to Mauritius. So basically there was no connectivity. Alright. Connectivity issue. So this has been solved by what? Airstrip and jetty. So both sea and air connectivity has been established. So this vulnerability could be converted to strength by developing the island and creating facilities that could operate ships and aircraft. Building a jetty and an airstrip was therefore considered imperative. Imperative means very important, of the primary importance, you can say. So they chose India as their preferred development partner. Now they could have chosen China, or they could have chosen other countries, but they chose India. So why did Mauritius choose India? So ties between India and Mauritius go back to 1948, 20 years before the country's independence from Britain. 70% of the inhabitants of Mauritius are of Indian origin, and the two countries share deep historical, social and cultural bonds. So please remember our relations with Mauritius. We share a colonial past. So this can serve as an introduction if this comes into the mains question. Okay, let us quickly see the mapping, and we'll see the all over mapping, not only the thing we are talking about. Alright, because there are many things going on. Let's say here the Persian Gulf, whether it's the Red Sea crisis is going on. So we'll be talking about this also later in the lecture, in the next lecture maybe. So let us see India here as a reference point. This is India. This we talked about already. The Pak Strait, the Manar Strait. Alright, here we see various different straits here. The Malacca Strait, and this sort of region we talked about here. The South China Sea. Okay, if you remember, we talked about recently about the Taiwan and China issue. Okay, very small Kinmen Island issue. And now we are talking about the Agalega Island. So we need to talk about the Mauritius here. This we can already know it's a Madagascar, and this is the Africa. So there are many countries in Africa here. We need to remember the bordering countries at least. Somalia, it's Kenya, Tanzania, Mozambique, Botswana, alright, and South Africa at the last. Question will 100% come from this part, one of this part, either from the Middle East, Mediterranean region and Middle East, alright, or from Africa. because they have been so much in news. All right, but please remember this also, Kinmen Island in the South China Sea. So here you can see the complete region and how far it is from India. It is around 1000 kilometer away from Mauritius. All right, moving forward, we'll see here. This is Mauritius, Madagascar, and these are smaller countries: Tanzania, Malawi, Mozambique, South Africa. We already have seen them. All right, again we can see this is Mauritius here, and these are the Agalega Island. All right. Okay, so the consistent feature in the history of bilateral relations have been friendship and trust at all levels. The political leadership, the diplomatic and the military communities, as well as between the people of the two countries. So we are dealing directly with the Mauritius. The development of these strategically located islands required trust more than anything else. India was the obvious choice. So when we are talking about trust, this trust thing is completely anti-China. All right, nobody can trust China, and we can trust India. So the question is, has India emerged as a trustworthy partner, trustworthy development partner in the Indian Ocean region? All right, provide comment on this, that India has emerged as a trustworthy partner in the Indian Ocean, developmental partner in the Indian Ocean region. Comment. Okay, so this can be the question. Answer will include Mauritius and this developmental project in the Agalega Island. So considering the sensitivities in Mauritius over issues of sovereignty and security, both sides progressed with utmost caution and every concern was appropriately addressed. So how will development of Agalega help Mauritius? First of all, so the 2-day passage, if the ship was available, will be cut to less than an hour's flight. Okay, so easily, if some emergency is there, then they can go to Mauritius for just a second in an hour's flight. Furthermore, the development of associated infrastructure will create employment and job opportunities for the local population and improve their overall well-being. So this is economic development first and foremost. And secondly, it's social development. Infra development also, and everything, whatever we can talk about. Furthermore, the tourism potential of the island could be tapped as well. So Mauritius is already known as a famous tourist destination, and these islands are under Mauritius, so they can also serve as a, let's say, tourist destination. Furthermore, the new jetty and airstrip will enable a larger and more credible government presence on the island and the stationing of forward deployment of ships of the Mauritius Coast Guard. It will be possible to better monitor and police the vast executive economic zone (EEZ) that extends 200 nautical miles outward of these islands. All right, so not let's talk about this is Mauritius. All right, and these are the small islands here, 1000 kilometers away. All right, 600 nautical miles away. So what we see that EEZ is like this. Alright, EEZ is like this. So this zone belongs exclusively to the Mauritius, and because of the jetty, it will be easier for them to patrol this. Now let's talk about what is for India. So goodwill and trust between two countries will be further enhanced, and the joint development of Agalega underscores India's commitment to the vision of Sagar, that is security and growth for all in the region. That is Sagar. Okay, and its willingness to assist smaller maritime nations in building capacity and developing capability. So basically, India is working as a sponsor here. It's very small investment for India, but the trustworthiness in the region goes up for India with this development. All right. Let's talk about this Sagar also. So in 2015, India unveiled its strategic vision for the Indian Ocean, that is security and growth for all in the region, that is Sagar. And it is an increasing recognition of increasing importance of maritime security, maritime commons and cooperation. Through Sagar, India seeks to deepen economic and security cooperation with its maritime neighbors. Now, we are essentially talking about the eastern neighbors, all right, because the concern is the South China Sea. The Indian Ocean is not a very big concern because there are many small islands here up until we reach Africa again. Alright, we are talking mostly about the presence of China in the South China Sea or this type of Pacific Ocean, this sort of area. So for this, India would cooperate on the exchange of information, coastal surveillance, building infrastructure and strengthening their capabilities. So we should, while we are talking about the Agalega Island here in the Mauritius and Madagascar, near Madagascar, we should also focus on India's ties and the developmental relations with the countries present here, the Vietnam, Cambodia, alright, these countries, Thailand. So what India is doing with them. Alright, already a question in prelims came about Vietnam, the trade in Vietnam. And please again remember the Kinmen Island, alright, about the Taiwan. So the blue economy, you can see here, it improved the life, and there are multiple aspects to it. You can read. I'll post the notes in the channel. So will India assist Mauritius in enhancing its maritime security? So if requested by Mauritius, India will do that. Alright, India has never forced its security apparatus upon any country. So this issue is with the Maldives. Alright, Go Back India campaign is going in the Maldives. So that is also a perspective that you need to read. That is India forcing its military presence on the island nations. And what is the issue with the Maldives? Alright, last thing, let us see that will Agalega be an Indian military base? So no, India understands the importance of sovereignty and the sensitivities of smaller nation, and India does not believe in economic colonization of smaller countries, unlike China, by luring them into the debt trap. It has demonstrated that its methods of aiding smaller neighbors is more trustworthy and humane, and even if somewhat inefficient. Alright, so we are talking about China here. So India is not doing what China does. So from here, many perspectives develop. Let us just sum up very quickly. First of all, you need to read India's relations, India's issue with Maldives. This development we have already read in the Mauritius. India's relations with the eastern countries, in the South China Sea especially. India's issues with Sri Lanka. This we have covered already. Alright, and China's debt trap mechanism. China's debt trap mechanism, as well as China's presence in African nations. So this we have already covered in previous lectures, but you can again read about them. Alright, thank you very much. This is Yatharth here. I'll see you in the next lecture. Have a great day. Study well. See you soon.